I was supposed to be at Kwantlen University in British Columbia, Canada, and I did go there for 45 minutes.
You're the youngest of four brothers, including a couple who became cops.
Yeah, one of them is a Mountie, works for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the other one was and is no longer a cop. But yeah, my dad was a cop as well.
Okay, so how did you stay alive as the youngest of four?
You get by on your wits. That's how you do it. You don't get by on your fists. So, yeah, it was kind of a rough household. I was less like the youngest brother, but more like a moving target.
Okay.
It was a lot of that stuff. Got handcuffed to the fridge a couple of times. The last time I actually took the fridge door off with me. I was that scared and panicked. So, yeah, we're all super close now, but when we were kids, it was just every day was a new and amazing, messy, stabbing death. Yeah.
Well, how did that experience prepare you for life?
You kind of become hyper perceptive. You know, you start to really sort of think about how you're going to survive. So especially my three older brothers who were so sort of physical guys, and you know, there was just rough housing. Like for them was always funny. For me, it was like a life-threatening situation. So you sort of learn to kind of get by on using your mind, not your fists. So I became kind of hyper-perceptive as a kid, and I know that contributed in enormous ways to the different paths I chose in life. You know, particularly show business and that sort of thing. I was able to kind of constantly mimic people or watch people and look for tiny signs and big signs of, you know, danger. But yeah, as a kid, it was tough. I was a kid I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of different kind of phobias and issues that I had to sort of work through, and it took me a long time to kind of recognize those things as assets as opposed to liabilities. I still struggle with those same things, as challenging as they are, and you know, they're also gifts that come with those things, you know, and it's that same sort of situation where you become kind of incredibly perceptive in ways in which you otherwise wouldn't, you know. You're all constantly kind of sensing, you know, both real danger and non-existent danger. So those are things that have really helped me in my work.
When you envisioned your life as an adult, was acting the thing that you wanted to do, or was there another career at 5 or 6 years old that you thought about?
No, I mean, I always thought I'd end up in law enforcement like my family. So I didn't imagine that acting was a way to get out of the house. It wasn't really like a passion when I was a kid. It was something that I was already doing at home, you know, to survive. So right. You kind of, you know, I noticed when I was a kid, making people laugh was a great self-defense mechanism. It really helped me kind of navigate my way through my own home. It was a means to an end. It was just a way to get out of the house, and you know, I could act. I didn't necessarily want to. I just knew I could.
I read that you were actually supposed to be in college and you moved to LA without your parents knowing. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. I was supposed to be at Kwantlen University in British Columbia, Canada, and I did go there for 45 minutes and said nope, and I left. So I was there for a very short period of time, and then I just thought, I'm gonna go do this thing and I'm gonna give it a year. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll go back to school, get a degree, and go join the workforce.
Did your parents find out when they saw you on TV, or did
you
eventually tell them?
It was about 6 weeks into my trip in Los Angeles, and I called them and said, hey, I'm in Los Angeles, I'm not in school. And then my father hung up on me. And then my mom called me back, and she was always kind of the voice of reason. And then, you know, my father sort of came around. I eventually ran out of money. I mean, my family is a middle-class family. My dad was a cop, and we didn't have, you know, 4 kids. We didn't have anything, you know, I didn't have anything to kind of lean on in terms of that. So you sort of always had to make our own way. And I eventually ran out of money, so I just asked an agency to meet with me, and I called about 10 of them, and then I finally got my foot in the door with one really small agency, and I bullshitted them. I just said, you know, if you send me out on 5 auditions, I don't care what they are, what they're for, I promise you'll come back with 1. If I don't come back with 1 after 5, you don't have to take me on. I'll leave and I won't say a word.
Did you get the 5?
Somehow I got the 4th one. I got a sitcom, which was probably still the best job I've ever had, because it was
the residuals?
No, it had nothing to do with money. The
Okay.
best job I've ever had, because it was a live audience. It was like kind of what I wanted to be doing anyway, which was improv comedy and that kind of stuff. It was a live audience that would pour in, and then, you know, this sitcom world is about a 6 or 7 or 8 month at most job a year. I mean, this is, you finish your season and then you're free. So I loved it because I would just go travel. I would go backpacking all over the world, and I would do all these sort of things. I think I really spent that money that I made wisely at the time. I got to see the world and have experiences. I wasn't a star. I was just a kid who occasionally worked in show business. So,
well, what was it like in high school? The fact that you were doing this acting, how did your peers perceive that?
I hid it largely in high school. Then I never celebrated. It was always something I kind of really tried to keep as quiet as possible. For me, high school was a situation where the more invisible I was, the more kind of happy I was. So I just wanted to get through that shit show and go live my life. And a lot of the stuff I did was shown in the United States, but not necessarily shown in Canada. So I could kind of get away with that. But no, everything that happened to me is sort of in an aggregate kind of way. It was very sort of slow and steady. So I think I owe that a lot. I mean, I'm grateful for that kind of momentum being very, very sort of snail's pace, as opposed to like a rocket ship, because I've watched so many people in this industry come and go, and, in various tragic ways and that sort of thing. And fame is a weird animal to deal with, I think, for anybody. So you know, for me, it happened so slowly that it's sort of like getting into a bath over the course of a year. You know, you're not going to get shocked by the water, be it cold or hot. You're gonna, right. You know, you're gonna just immerse yourself in a way that's really, really slow. So for me, there's nothing meteoric about fame or any of that stuff. I was able to really kind of assimilate to it in a way that, you know, most people aren't really offered that. Everything's all or nothing in Hollywood. It's either you're the biggest star they've ever seen or you're done.
Yeah.
You know, I somehow found that, I got lucky and found that weird sort of middle ground where I was able to kind of just slowly build my career.
What's the biggest lesson that you've learned about the business side of film and acting?
Always just embrace this idea that you know nothing, because you don't. I mean, I you know, as soon as you think you know exactly how it's all going to go down, or what audiences are really yearning for, you know, you can be surprised, you know. So I love that edict. I like that idea that I believe in film and any endeavor to be a process of collaboration. I think you always have to listen and always ask for help, and the best leaders are the people that hire the best people. So that's, for me, that's the thing that I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned, is like, you know, just hire the best people you can, people that you connect with, people that you love, people that, you know, you can learn from.
Thinking about your future, what's important to you?
Family, 100%. As anyone will know, it's almost frustratingly so for some of the people I work with, is that I gotta make sure that my time with my family is prioritized over anything else.
You did something really incredible a few years ago where you ran the New York Marathon to raise money for the Michael J. Fox Foundation for research for Parkinson's. Got it out in one breath.
Nailed it.
Why was that important for you to do that?
My father had Parkinson's. He died a few years ago, but he struggled with Parkinson's his whole life. And you know, my father's very, very proud man. I mean, I think he said the word Parkinson's to me maybe twice in the 25 years that he had the disease. So, not unlike how I deal with some issues surrounding anxiety, I think more people talk about it, the more I see guys like my father, who is a sort of the archetypal strong man, the guy who, you know, don't talk about your feelings, cram them down, and sort of robbed of his physicality, and he was strong, he's an ex-boxer or cop, you know. I think part of his identity was that he was a very strong man, so it forced him to kind of reassess all those things, which was in a way a good thing. But in the end, you know, there's some of the side effects, Lewy dementia, Lewy body dementia, these things that, you know, affected Robin Williams and other people, can be really devastating. You know, that loss of self and not quite knowing where you stand in any given moment is pretty tough. So I wonder if some of those sort of underlying ideas or reasons we do get sick or sicker is because we're not sort of expressing ourselves or letting things out. Like, I don't take myself too seriously, you know. You know, there's an old line from a movie that you would never expect to have that much wisdom, but there's an old line from Van Wilder, which is, you know, don't take life too seriously because you'll never get out alive. And it's true. I mean, that's sort of, I've held that with me for, you know, almost 20 years now since that movie, but it's very true, you know. You're never gonna get out alive, so have some fun while you're here.